Hello, sustainers. My name is Njiforti Princeville. You're welcome once again for another episode where we'll be discussing on a very important topic, and that is sustainable agriculture. Before we continue, what is sustainable agriculture? Sustainable agriculture is farming in sustainable ways to meet society's present food and textile needs without compromising the ability for the current and future generation to meet their needs. Sustainable agriculture integrates three main goals. We have environmental health, we have economic profitability, and we have social and economic equity. Okay, I'm going to break down these goals into I'm going to break it down in ways in which you'll be able to understand better. Now, let's go to the environmental health. Now, it's very important that we understand that as farmers, we play a key role in the environment. We play a key role in the soil biodiversity and the health of the soil. We play a key role in climate change. Now, how do we do this? Sometimes we may not really understand. When we carry out agriculture, what we do is we cut down trees, right? Because we need sufficient sunlight for photosynthesis and all that. Cutting down trees exposes the soil to direct sunlight, and then it increases the rate of erosion and all of that. So when we cut down these trees in most rural communities in Africa where agriculture is not mechanized, we have to we slash and then we burn the trees. When we burn, what do we release? We release carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide to the atmosphere and other gases, which now goes to a long way to affect the climate negatively. So it is important that we understand this. For those who are doing animal production, we have to understand that animal they feed on forage and fodder and all those things. But how do they respire? They respire sending out carbon dioxide, which goes a long way to do what to affect the climate. Those are greenhouse gases that really affects the climate, causing global warming. So I think we have to understand all these things. Now, looking at it in another way, let's go to chemicals, the pesticides we use. All these different chemicals sometimes we use chemicals that are very toxic. You find people who use pesticides and they don't even use the right measurement, and we just use them indiscriminately. Some of these pesticides are washed downstreams and then they affect nearby water, causing eutrophication, killing marine organisms, and then we also consume the water, have health issues, and all of these different things. Some of these chemicals are insecticides. When we overuse them, we kill even beneficial organisms that are important for the proper development of the soil, proper functioning of the soil, and also some of these organisms even help to fight some pests in the farm. So it's not this is how we contribute to the environment. So it is important that when we carry out agriculture, we have to look at the activities, the practices which we carry out in the farm, and how it affects the environment, how it affects the soil biodiversity. We have to look at all these things. Let's go to the economic and profitability. A lot of time we calculate profitability based on what we get out of the farm and say, okay, I invested this amount of money, this is what I'm getting out of the farm, and I've made this amount of money. But we don't calculate the environmental loss. We don't the environmental cost. Sorry, there is always a cost in every project we carry out, and that is what we don't calculate. Each time you farm in a piece of land, if you don't farm in the right way, in a sustainable way, what happens is that land loses nutrients. The plants, because plants feed using the nutrients from the soil. So each time you cultivate in a piece of land, it takes away nutrients from that soil. So the soil is not the same soil you did farming is totally different because it's getting depleted. So farming must be sustainable so that we are able to replenish what we have. And that's why most of the time we tell people and advise people to engage in organic agriculture, where you'll be able to use potty droplets, you use household refuse, we have to be able to should be able to do compost like what our forefathers did back in Africa. It's very important. And also, even on the profitability part, it's very important that we don't just do agriculture because we want to eat. We have to also look at what is the profit margin. We don't just engage in projects because we want to break even. Year after year, you're on the same farm and you're not making anything, and you're using resources from the soil. You are wasting resources. Agriculture has to be profitable. Economically, it has to be profitable. Before you engage in any project, you have to sit down and come up with a plan. You have to have a cost estimate. If it's a massive farm, you have to get people to design you a business plan. Just like any other business where we have a business plan, you need to have a business plan in your farm. Even if you don't have a professional one, but you should have an idea on the inputs and the output. You should have an idea. So these are the things that we have to take very serious when we want to engage in agriculture. Is this project profitable? If it's not profitable, let's not do it. Agriculture is a business like any other thing. Okay, let's go to the economic and social equity. I'll give you an example here. We have a situation where we are a lot of time we are advocating for the rights of women. It is very important, particularly in the agricultural sector, where women are not treated fairly. They're not treated fairly. A lot of cultures and traditions prevent women from inheriting lands. A lot of cultures prevent women from buying land, being able to buy lands. A lot of cultures determine the kind of crops that women should cultivate. Usually we find a lot of cultures where they say women should not engage in the production of cash crop like cocoa, coffee, and to own plantations of oil palm oil and oil palm and all of that. So it really affects the economy, it affects food production, it affects so many things, because in most areas in Africa there are more women than men. In most areas in Africa we have women that are ready to work, women that are ambitious, intelligent women, educated women who can take this knowledge and skills and then bring it to their community and do great things, to be able to own farms in hectares. But with this culture, it prevents women to massively to effectively engage in agriculture. So these are one of the goals in sustainable agriculture, which we have to take very serious. It's very important. It's very important. So we have to let women engage in agriculture. We have to let them cultivate whatever they want to cultivate. We have to empower them. We have to create situations where they are in positions where they can influence policies that is going to build the agricultural sector. We have to understand women. We don't mean men. We have to understand this. Women are 30% more productive than men. 30% more productive, and we need to make sure that we encourage them and get them to engage in agriculture. Okay, we've talked about the goals in agriculture and all that. Now, I know you'll be asking yourself, if I want to carry out sustainable agriculture, what are the things I have to do? You're very right. I mean, it's a question you have to ask yourself, because that is the point of this conversation. It's the point of this whole talk. Agriculture, sustainable agricultural practices are just so many. One of the things I want to tell you is we have to do what? We have to carry out conservative tillage. Conservative tillage, or we reduce the level of tillage. Why is this important? A lot of time when we want to plant, we till the entire soil. When we till the soil, we expose the soil to the heat, to direct sunlight, we expose it to erosion and so many other things. So when you have a farm and you're able to meet a technician and then he tells you, okay, this area, this is what you have to do, I think it's something we have to respect. We don't have to till an entire soil. We are opening the soil to so many different things. The next thing is crop rotation. It's important that we don't cultivate the same type of crop year after year, particularly crops that have the same pest, the same group of pests. So we have to, for instance, today we are planting vegetable. Next year we shouldn't come and then we still plant vegetable in that farm, vegetable after year after year. What happens is that we are exposing that particular area to a particular pest, and then we need to spend more on pesticides and all of that. Crop rotation is important. This year probably we plant vegetable, the next year we could plant tuber crops, the following year we could decide to plant leguminous crops to increase on the nutrient level of the soil. We also have mixed cropping. Mixed cropping is very important. Gone are the days where people encourage monocropping. It's not really the best. So we have to engage in mixed cropping. If you have a farm, you can plant a farm of tuber or a root crop like cassava. You have to integrate it with the leguminous crop so that as the tuber is taking nutrients from the soil, the leguminous crop is replacing those nutrients into the soil. And also it helps in the profitability of the farm. It helps you maximize the use of that farmland. We have to look at IPM methods, integrated pest management. There are so many of them. If you have a farm, you have to be able to get experts. You ask them of this, they'll be able to propose methods, integrated pest management methods, which you can use in your farm, and then you make sure so your farm can be more sustainable. The next way in which you can, things you can do, sustainable agricultural practices we have is we have to look at agroforestry. Agroforestry is important. We have to learn to cultivate crops and trees, because most of the times we find people who cultivate in farmlands, they cultivate and cut down every tree in the farm. And when we do that, we are exposing the soil to direct sunlight. We are reducing the number of trees, which is something we should be adding instead, so that these trees can take up carbon dioxide from the atmosphere and then produce oxygen, which we need so much to fight climate change. And another thing we also have to look at is integrating livestock and plants. Is very important. There are so many farmlands, like we have an oil palm, we have a farm of rubber. We should be able to integrate with animals. If you have a farm where we have rubber is planted, we should be able to integrate with animals, because these animals, when their feces is used as manure, it nourishes the soil, and also they also help to do what, to feed on weeds in the farm. So integrating crops with animals is also a very good way to replenish the nutrients that is being lost from the soil. There are just so many things we can do in sustainable agriculture. Organic farming is one of them. We engage in organic farming is also a good thing. There are just so many of them, and I think it's important that before we engage in agriculture, let's learn in Africa to get experts. Let's get people that are already engaged, people who have studied these things, they have practiced, people who are in the field. Let's get these experts to give us the best advice we need. Let's get them before we engage in a farm. Probably it's a plantation. We want to engage in 10 hectares. We need to carry out soil testing, know what is in the soil and how and what you need to add in the soil. Get agricultural consultants. It's very important. My sustainers, that was it. I want to thank you so much for watching. If there's any question, sustainable agriculture is a very broad topic. There are so many things I've left out, and there are so many things I've mentioned. If there's any topic you want me to talk about, just write me on the comment section, or go to all our social media platforms. We are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we are on Facebook, LinkedIn, and all of that. So just write me on any of these platforms. We write us at sustainafrique@gmail.com, or we have www.sustainafrique.org. You can write us there. You can find us there. Now, I want to say this is very important to you all sustainers. We are at the point where there is increased urbanization. We are at the point where there is COVID-19, climate change, and all of this. And now, if we look at it, we understand that the prices of food is going up every day. Things are getting more and more expensive, which means we are at the point where food will become an issue. In 2050, the population of the world is set to increase, is set to double. How do we feed these people? So I want to encourage you out there, anyone, if you're in the diaspora, wherever you are, it's time for us to engage in agriculture, not just agriculture, but sustainable agriculture. It's time for us to engage in food processing. It's time for us to engage in the production of textile. These things are very important. At this time, it's not just a call. This is a duty. It's a duty. It's for everyone. It's time we get engaged in agriculture. It's time we make sure that there is food security. and zero hunger for everyone. 250 million children sleep every day hungry, and we have 41 million people who are at the brink of hunger in the world. We imagine all these statistics are real. Africa has 600 million arable land. That is land we have here. What are we doing? Let's engage in agriculture. Sustain Africa is here. I am here. If you want someone to advise you on how to go about your project, business plan, farm management, all these things, we are here to help you. Thank you so much. I still remain Jifote Prince, your celebrity farmer.